Hello everybody. I just wanted to make a short video, the review of my 2013 Leaf after owning it since Halloween of 2016. This has been my daily driver. I drive it 20 miles to work, 20 miles back home every day. It had about 16,000 miles on it whenever I got it. It's got about 23,500 on it now, and kind of wanted to give my thoughts on whether or not this particular car does make a good daily driver. For me, people often want to know how much this car costs to drive. As a comparison, the car that this one replaces is actually a 2007 Prius. I'm not sure if you can see that, it's a little bit dark in the garage. The Prius gets, still, even though it's 10 years old, still averages about 47 miles per gallon, and I've had it for about 5 years, so I've saved enough money over those 5 years on gas to buy this car. This car cost me $12,500 out the door, and that was from West Hills Nissan in Coraopolis, Pennsylvania. This is an SL model, so it has leather seats. It also has the quick charge option, which I don't use. I actually use a 110 outlet to charge this car. Don't mind the dirtiness. As I said, it's my daily driver. I noticed my electric bill whenever I got this car went up by about roughly, it's hard to tell because one month they estimate how much electricity I've used. Other months they give an actual, so I have to kind of average it out and assume what the total cost was. But it seems to be around $30 a month is how much my electric bill went up since buying this car, which is pretty good, because even with the Prius, whenever we were driving the Prius the same amount of miles per month, we were probably spending between $80 and $100 a month for gas with that car. Lots of storage here. I carry this little battery pack just in case I ever have to jump start the 12-volt battery that's in the car. Never had to use it. My boy plays t-ball, so this is all his stuff. We haul him back and forth in this car. Currently, I live in a very hilly area, so currently I'm getting about 4.2 miles per kilowatt hour. So roughly 80 miles per charge because of all the hills. I've seen where people do better than that, who live on flat, slower speed areas, more in the city. As you can see, I'm not in the city. So it cost me about $1.50 to go about 80 miles, roughly. I figured it out one time a couple months ago. This car, the miles per gallon equivalent this car is getting is 136 miles per gallon. I've taken quite a bit of ribbing at work because of driving this car. I work in a machine shop, a bunch of rednecks. All drive their jacked up diesel trucks, some gas trucks. One guy told me he was spending $100 a week on gas to drive back and forth to work. That's crazy. So this car was bought because I have a family and I wanted to save money to be able to support a family. I'm the only breadwinner in the family. My fiance does not work. We have a 4.5-year-old who plays t-ball, stuff in the back, and we have a newborn that's about to be born here on June 9th. So I used to drive fast cars. I love fast cars, but they're expensive. And if she wanted to not work and wanted to stay home and take care of kids, we had to save money wherever we could. That's why the Prius is in the garage and this car is in the driveway. But as a daily driver, it's been a great car. One problem I do want to mention. whenever I first got this car, it was my first electric car. I did not know, I'd heard that the heaters don't work very good in them. So whenever I got it, the heater, there's actually a bar on the display inside that shows you when it's using electricity. Kind of turn that on so you can see it. But this bar, whenever I would turn the heater on, would take a while before it would come up, and I just thought that was the characteristics of an electric car. It took a while to heat up. I was asking around, people online were saying no, something's wrong. Turn this bar on for you. This bar, climate control. So whenever you turn the heater on, this bar should immediately come up and tell you that it's using electricity and it's either heating or cooling and doing its job. I thought that since these cars had the feature where you can set the timer to turn the heater on early before you actually got in the car, that maybe that's why they had that feature, was because the heater sucked and they knew it was going to take a while to heat up. It turns out, as it is, I did not know this car has a heat pump and it requires Freon to make both heat and air conditioning, which turned out to be the problem. It was a little bit low on Freon, and because of that it was not making heat. And as time went on after I bought the car, eventually this bar would not go up for an hour or two, and it just got to the point where I called the dealer and I said, hey, something's wrong with this car. I took it back in. West Hills Nissan treated me right. They fixed the car for free, which all they did, they said they had to replace a relay and add Freon to it. When you turn your heat or air conditioning on, this bar should immediately start to move. Depending on how hard the heater or air conditioner is working is how far that bar should move. It'll use more electricity the harder it's working. As you can see, it comes up now just like it's supposed to. I have it set on heat, 86 degrees. It's currently 64 degrees outside, and it does what it's supposed to. So if anybody else has this problem where either their heater or their air conditioner is not working and this bar is not coming up the way it's supposed to, more than likely that's going to end up being your problem. It just needs a little bit of Freon added and that'll fix it. So since I got this thing fixed, the heater works good, the air conditioner works good. So there's the air conditioner. It might take a second here to come up. But yeah, I wanted to mention that there because help out my fellow Leaf owners, since I'm sure I'm not the only one having this problem. But that's pretty much it. Other than that, it's been a great daily driver, and I don't regret driving the car as a daily driver, even though I've taken some ribbing about it. I mean, it was a cheap car, only had 16,000 miles on it whenever I got it. I can see there what it has on it now, and you know, it's probably only saving me maybe $70 a month in gas over the Prius, but compared to most people's cars, which I'm sure don't get 46, 47 miles per gallon average, you would save a lot more than I am. So that's about it. Other than that, yeah, it's been really good. Has no problems keeping up in traffic. You know, in a race between this and the Prius, this car would smoke the Prius. The Prius makes 110 horsepower, and although this car makes the same power, it makes twice as much torque, like 200 foot-pounds, I think it is. So from 10 miles an hour to 50, it's a pretty quick car. And it surprises most people, you know, pulling away from stoplights or going up hills or whatever. But if you're thinking about getting one, now's a good time. The Bolt just came out, so these cars, the value is kind of going down on them, which means they're getting cheaper to buy. But it's still a pretty good car. I don't regret buying it. I plan on keeping it for a few more years. One thing I will address, the 12 bars thing with the mileage and the battery indicator. The day I test drove this car, this thing had 12 bars on it. And I test drove it. I had my checkbook on me. I wrote the check. I drove the car home. And on the way home, it dropped to 11 bars. Now, I read online, some people were saying, oh, there's things you can do to fool that gauge to make it seem like, yes, there's 12 bars on there, when in reality, it's a little bit less. I don't know if the dealer did that or not. I just kind of thought that it was weird. It had 12 bars whenever I test drove it, and on the way home, it went down to 11 bars, and it's been at 11 bars ever since. The 100%, depending on the kilowatt hours you're getting, miles per kilowatt hour, sometimes that's at 75. You know, apparently I wasn't doing very efficient driving the last few times I drove this car. Sometimes it goes clear up to 87. It just depends. Another thing it depends on is the temperature it was whenever the battery was charged. When it's cold, it doesn't hold as much of a charge, so you get less mileage out of it. That's about it. If you have any questions or comments or anything like that, you can put it in the section below, and I appreciate it. Thank you guys very much.